Good evening. Well, this is the 37th time that I have spoken to you from this office, where so many decisions have been made that shape the future of our nation. Each time I have done so to discuss with you some matter that I believe affected the national interest.
Like everyone else, I had watched the Watergate drama play out in my living room. I've been glued to the Select and Judiciary Committee hearings night after night, week after week, month after month. Now finally it had come to this.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
But instead of the satisfaction I imagined I would feel, I just got angrier, because there was no admission of guilt, no apology.
To leave office before my term is complete is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. I have never been a quitter, but I do so secure in the knowledge that America is a better country and the world a safer place than when I came to power 5.5 years ago.
Little did I know then that I would one day be part of a team that would try to elicit that apology.
To have served in this office is to have felt a deep personal sense of kinship with each and every American. I leave with no bitterness toward those who opposed me, but with this prayer. May God's grace go with you in all the days ahead.
Looking back over your final year in office, do you feel you ever obstructed justice or were part of the conspiracy to cover up or obstruct justice?
It was obvious to everyone in the Nixon camp that Frost could no longer win on points and would therefore come out throwing haymakers looking for a knockout. But we took comfort from the fact that 1,000 journalists, congressmen, senators, and state prosecutors had tried to nail the president on the subject before and failed.
No, I don't. And I'm interested that you use the term obstruction of justice. You perhaps have not read the statute with regard to the obstruction of justice.
As it happens, I have.
You say you have. Then you know that it doesn't just require an act. It requires a specific corrupt motive. And in this case, I didn't have a corrupt motive. What I was doing was in the interest of political containment.
Be that as it may, the direct consequences of your actions would have been that 2 of the convicted burglars would have escaped criminal prosecution. How can that not be a cover-up or obstruction of justice?
I think the record shows, Mr. Frost, that far from obstructing justice, I was actively facilitating it. When Pat Gray of the FBI called me on July 6th, I said, Pat, go right ahead with your investigation. Hardly what you'd call obstruction of justice.
That may be, but we now know that for 2 weeks prior to July 6th, you were desperately trying to block or cover up the investigation. And obstruction of justice is obstruction of justice, if it is for a minute or 5 minutes. And it's no excuse to say that your plan failed. I mean, if I try to rob a bank and fail, there's no excuse. I still tried to rob that bank.
Now wait a minute, Mr. Frost. There is no evidence of any kind.
The reason there is no evidence is because 18.5 minutes of this conversation with Bob Haldeman have mysteriously been erased.
An unfortunate oversight. But Bob Haldeman is a rigorous and conscientious note-taker, and his notes are there for all to see.
Well, we found something rather better than his notes.